Right then, welcome back to the channel. Stephen Howson, transfer talk, I guess. Bit of reaction to what's going on with Gyökeres. I thought I would film it in here. I've never shot any sort of content in here, as you might be aware, and you're like, where are you? I'm in my garage, which I've recently sort of converted into a little bit of a home gym, and there will be some IRL content coming on here, but I wanted to test out, how does it look, how does it sound, that sort of stuff. So when I am doing IRL content in here, we know. And I thought, right now, I'm about to smash out today's workout, and I thought, I wouldn't mind having a chat about Gyökeres before I do, because it's kind of all gone off. Like I said a couple of weeks ago, I recorded a video where I was looking at, what's the issue with Gyökeres. On paper, he is the hottest prospect, the absolute most on-fire striker, the best signing 27 clubs could sign. Seemingly, at the time, we thought he had this really low release clause. Seemingly with an extremely low release clause, very gettable, not mad wages. What's the issue? Why hasn't any of the major clubs signed him? There was a little bit of talk of United. We didn't know if that was real or if that was because of his prior relationship with Ruben Amorim. There was a little bit of talk of Arsenal. That was it. There was no one in Spain, no one in France, nobody in Germany, nobody in Italy. Literally a couple of clubs for a player that's just done an absolute madness. Didn't make any level of sense at all. And here we are, 15th of June. He's supposedly come out and said, not interested in Manchester United. Ruben Amorim obviously wants him. He clearly smashed it under Ruben Amorim in the past. Scores goals for fun. United are in contact, supposedly, or at least weighing it up. You get his sporting director or a club president come out with Sporting and say, actually, the release clause, the gentleman's agreement, it's not what you think it is. And then you've got Gyökeres coming out and sort of putting counters to that. And then Romano reports that Gyökeres' priority is Arsenal. And you're like, right, well, that's that then. There's been some calls, supposedly, from United, tentative ones by the sounds of things. But he's waiting to see what Arsenal want to do before he commits. That's a ballsy call, because if he ends up having to sign for United now, everyone's kind of like, we know you wanted to go to Arsenal, mate. That's a really mad situation. That's we criticise players for being beige and not coming out and telling us what they really think and playing the game, giving quotes that mean nothing. Yet Gyökeres has just come out here and been like, yeah, I want that one. Which you have to respect on some level, but on another level, if he ends up signing for anybody else, he looks wild for saying that. And Romano was saying, United are keen, but they think a deal is now unlikely. Yeah, no shit. When a player comes out and says, I wouldn't mind signing for someone else, of course a deal seems unlikely. And then Record Portugal come out this morning, and they've said, Arsenal aren't interested in signing Gyökeres. So you're like, oh. And they've said they've had enough of Sporting's demand. Sporting wants £67 million. I'm sorry, go and have a look at who United have spent £67 million on in the past and tell me that doesn't make sense. I mean, maybe Arsenal as well to a greater or lesser extent. So now you're in this weird situation. Gyökeres seemingly goes out on a limb, tells the world he only wants Arsenal. Not 24 hours later, Arsenal are like, we're not interested. Unless this is Arsenal playing the game, and it's quite well playing a game, if that's what they're doing, in terms of saying, we know he wants us, we're going to try and get 10 million off the price. If that's what Arsenal are doing, they've played an absolute blinder here. If they've genuinely gone, we're not interested in him, deal with it, everyone comes out of this looking like shit. Everybody. Whoever he signs ends up looking like shit. He looks like shit. The only people that win here are Arsenal, which is a rarity, I know. So United could go back in. And for me, £67 million, if that is the price, I make it done. And I think there is a way to spin this. Arsenal is his priority. He's not completely rejected United by the sounds of things. It's just, let me get the exact quote here. His priority is United. He wants to see what Arsenal do before committing to anybody else. So that's not ruling out a move anywhere else. That's just saying, if Arsenal come in, that's where I want to go. So, let's put it this way. If he ends up signing for United on the back of this, he's going to have to absolutely score a hat-trick against Arsenal, and he's going to have to chat some major shit to make up for the fact that he's come out and said, basically, I'd rather go to Arsenal over United. Which puts it, that's not a good spot to be in the day you sign for somebody, if that's the case. What would I do at this moment? I'd still get Gyökeres. I would still get Gyökeres. I would and do you know what? There's all the others that you can go and look at as well. Osimhen. What's the script with him? Still gettable. Still has to be considered an option for United. If he's not the number one option, he has to be considered an option. Etikite, that guy, Hugo, like the one I can't say. I think he needs to be parked because I think in terms of the value for money, there is none. Like, I would go and move heaven and earth to try and convince Gyökeres before spending anything like that kind of cash on Etikite. Fuck off. Words. Ollie Watkins. Could you do something there? Could you do something there? He's going to be spendy, but he's Premier League proven. We know the situation that they find themselves in. Can we take advantage of that? That doesn't feel like a straightforward, easy one. Jean-Philippe Mateta, happy at Palace, but is he though? That, another Premier League proven, I think that would be a good one to switch to for us, a real powerful focal point for us in the front line. Jonathan David, what's going on with him? Why is there no talk about him whatsoever? There's some talk of a possible Goncalo Ramos loan from PSG. I think that would be a pretty good option if you could do that. Obviously, he's not first choice there. I think that there's still options. But considering that normally United don't tend to do any sort of business until deep into July, sometimes even August, and sometimes after we've played a couple of Premier League games, I can't sit here and say this is an ideal situation, everything's going perfectly to plan, especially because we don't know what's going on with Mbeumo. I thought that was as good as sorted. The twists in that in the last few days aren't filling me with sunshine and rainbows. But again, it could be agent talk, it could be a load of nonsense, and it could just get resolved today, for all we know. But yeah, like, it's, for what started off, didn't it, 2 weeks ago, literally 2 weeks ago today, it started off with like, wow, Manchester United mean business. The window was open and we've gone, boom, Cunha. And then it seemed like everything was all agreed in terms of like the wages and the desire to come from Mbeumo. Boom, that's done. And it was like, right, and we're moving. And we're going to bring somebody else in, and we're going to bring somebody else in. And then we didn't. So it has stalled, for sure. Has Brailsford going meant anything, done anything? I don't know how that's going to impact what happens going forward, but never a dull day in United, is there? Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. I might do a late night live later. Let me know in the comments if you'd like me to, and we can have a chat. We can have a chat a little bit about what I was doing in Turkey this week if you want to. Otherwise, we'll just do a bit of a roundup on some of the transfers going elsewhere, what's kicking off with the Club World Cup, and yeah, take it easy. And let me know how did this sound, did it look, and all that sort of stuff. See you in the next one. Laters.